Well, I might pop back over onto my laptop here just because it's a little bit easier than on my phone. So,
Okay, did it finally start up for you?
what's that?
Did it finally start up?
Yeah, it finally did. I was going to build another new laptop, and I kid myself like I have the time for that.
Okay, we'll see in a few bits.
Alrighty.
So Barb, how's the weather treating you there? Are you over at your daughter's place?
No, I'm at my house. I don't have girls. I only
Oh,
have two
I'm
boys.
sorry, your sons. Oh, pardon me.
It's okay. No, I'm at my house in the UK. And it's not bad. Oh, if I knew how to work the weather station. Actually, I think it's all on my husband's phone now. I don't think there's a printout here, but I'm gonna say the temperature it's above freezing. It's not below freezing. For sure. We got below freezing last week for a couple of nights. So it's like big news. And we probably got down to the equivalent of about 25 degrees.
Ooh.
And that's really, really cold here.
Oh, Art is asking for the link to
I have it in an email. Dave sent an email.
yeah.
Do you have it?
Well, I am going to let's see, I do have the email, but I should be able to just go over to the Facebook page and get it there and send it to him. Let's see. Come on. You think I could click a button? Okay.
Do you want me to resend him the email?
Oh, I got it right now. Just
Okay.
oh, he just went never mind. I guess he found it.
Cool. So how are you?
I'm doing just fine. Business is slow, but that's to be expected.
Is that the time of year, or is it still sort of recovery
Oh.
from COVID?
COVID just killed most of my work. At the beginning, during the first year, I had lots of work because people were spending money on their pet projects and everybody was writing books. So I was doing a lot of book covers and book illustrations, and I was having a grand time. But after everybody went through the reserves,
Nothing.
nothing. Most of the type of work I do as far as graphic facilitation has always been in person, and I managed to do a couple of those type of sessions via online. But now right now I'm falling back on doing art projects for the city and doing, I might do a couple of Kickstarters to bring in some money. I got a series of enamel pins. Enamel pins are a pretty hot item amongst pop culture right now, especially if you're at conventions. And on Kickstarter, what people do is they'll say, okay, here's this one enamel pin. My goal is to pay for it. And then people will cover that. And then they'll do a stretch goal of another enamel pin in the series. And then another one if they keep managing to get more and more money in. And then you can choose which enamel pin or the whole thing is, maybe they'll buy all of them. And some of those will run, you can usually get about 4,000 to 5,000 off of an okay series. And if it goes, I've seen one series that trended in the UK, and he got 50,000 pounds. So
wow.
yeah, you never know with Kickstarter. Sometimes one of the most famous Kickstarters was a guy made a potato salad, and he did it as a joke. I'm going to make this potato salad. Who here will fund me? And the next thing you knew, this thing blew up into a block party that had almost a ton of potato salad and people flying in from other states. It went nuts. It was like the second most
That's
popular.
crazy.
Yes, just for
Yeah.
potato salad. You never know with the internet, but
Yes.
this is a project I did for the city. This is going to be turned into a jigsaw puzzle.
Oh,
And we
cool.
got some local celebrities and a lot of my friends doing their various art projects. And amongst all these things are hidden objects.
Is Waldo in there?
I couldn't put Waldo in because one of the
Copyright.
things was, trademark and copyright. I could get away with putting in, the Seattle Sonics because,
Good man.
Mm.
So how about you, Barb? You've been keeping yourself busy?
Yeah, I don't know with what. We seem to be busy all the time just with normal life and things.
Are you working or retired? Uh-oh.
Okay, so my husband is retired or semi-retired because he still sits on some boards. But I'm not working, but I'm a full-time take carer. So
Right.
Martin says he's retired, and I said, well, when do I get to retire? Because I can't. My job is 24/7 forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. So when I asked her, are you retired? It's like from getting paid income.
From paid employment, yes, I am.
Yes,
I am non-paid working.
Because life goes on, and that's always
Life
part
goes
of it.
on. So yeah, just with life, and we had lots of people here over Christmas, and our eldest Carter was here with us from sort of mid-November until last weekend, and Tate, the younger, he was home from university from sort of just before Christmas until last weekend too. So pretty much full house. I've been inundated with male humor. I'm glad that we're back to 50-50 now, so it's a bit more even for me.
I'd trade you because
Yeah,
I was
see-
drowning in estrogen last month.
I can relate. I mean, I can't, but I can sympathize hugely.
Yeah.
In my house, they talk about Sacha Baron Cohen and the dictator and don't mess with the Zohan and Premier League soccer and lots of inappropriate jokes and all
A
that
lot
stuff.
of clothing talk, book talk, hush
Yeah.
whispers. Daddy, please go in the other room. Anyway.
Well, one of the things that happens here on a regular basis is they go out in the yard and play soccer.
Oh, that's good.
It's wet and with Martin, so the three of them go out, and Martin enjoys it. He likes the time with the boys, but he's like, you know what? Am I done yet? Can I play? And it's wet and cold and yucky here. So every time they go out, they come in completely plastered in mud. So
Giving you more work.
yeah, exactly. It's okay. It was fun. We had a good time, and now we're sort of in catch up mode. And January is kind of generally a pretty quiet, chill time anyway. At least it is for us. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, usually
School
very
marches
quiet.
on.
Yeah.
Although we kicked the kids out of the building last week.
Oh, did you
you
for
did?
COVID?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So we're not actively teaching, so we don't meet them face to face online, but we post work and we have office hours, so we're available to answer questions and troubleshoot, computer issues and stuff. So
wow. So were you in the classroom up until Christmas?
funny story. Yes and no. So the 2 weeks prior to going on break, I had a student show up who was infected with COVID, but she did not know. Came to school for 2 days. They kept her home Wednesday, saying she didn't feel well. So I was like, oh, okay, good. I'm glad they're being precautious. That same day, third grade had a computerized, like a standardized test that they had to give. And Susan, she went into another classroom because the other classroom's teacher and most of his kids were out, but to give this test, it had to be a certified teacher employee instead of a sub. So in that classroom, she went in and she monitored and proctored the test for the kids, and then was told the next day on Thursday that she was a close contact for a kid in that classroom who had COVID. And then the principal came over to me and said, hey, you're a family member of a close contact, you got to go. So Thursday morning before school started, I was, basically kicked out to my house. So I had to quarantine, or I had to isolate. So I'm at home on Friday, getting online, making sure I had to, give sub plans and all this stuff. And I get online and I find an email from the clinic to the principal trying to track her down because there was a student in my class who was active with COVID for Tuesday, or the start of the week, Monday and Tuesday, had been coming in.
Stayed home Wednesday.
Yeah, I got sent home Wednesday for another student when it should have been sent home from Monday. But anyway, so I found out that there was a kid in my class with COVID. So that Friday morning, as my kids were coming to class, they all got sent home and they couldn't come back until we were well into the middle of our break. So.
And did you and your wife get COVID?
No, so we isolated for 5 days, tested negative, which is great. And then we still had a couple of days to the break. So being the duty-minded, hey, we still got a few days of school. Let me go into my classroom, even though there are not going to be any kids there. And I walked into a school where the admin was playing Jenga with the teachers, filling in, gaps and blocks and trying to make sure that there was a teacher in every room. So I ended up going to a specialist, the guy who teaches Host Nation, who was out for COVID contact. And so he sees multiple classes, like 5 classes a day. So he's got a parade of students coming through his classroom. I'm like, I'm trying to fly back to the States to see my kids. I don't feel like being a close contact again. So I worked that day, called in sick the next day, and then we were on break after that. So it was, yeah.
So you were able to fly to the States?
Yeah, so we got to the States and got to, stay with our girls for Christmas and just on New Year's, and then we flew back New Year's and came back to school, and school was open and running, but it was still waves and cycles, and it finally broke last Wednesday, and admin said we can't keep our school open. It was only us, so we've got 3 sections of the American school. We got elementary, middle, and high school. Only the elementary closed down, so the kids who have older siblings in middle and high school, their siblings are still going to school, even though those schools are also around a 50% capacity for COVID and isolation and quarantine and stuff. They're staying open. It was causing a little bit of friction on campus, but but we're closed for another week, so I'll go in every day, but I'll just be like the Maytag repairman, sitting alone on my computer, taking the odd phone call or email. See, I'm glad you guys get that. I said that at our staff in our grade level meeting, and maybe one other teacher got it. Yeah.
It's probably as much an age thing as it is a nationality thing.
Well, no, we're all Americans at the school. I mean, the kids are international, definitely, but all the staff is American. They skew young. Yeah, they skew young. So,
wow.
My wife and I, we've got this little Maytag guy, like a squeaky toy with a magnet on the bottom. He's a little fat guy about this big, and Maytag sells them so that you know how you don't want your washing machine to get mildewy on the inside. You kind of want to prop the door open sometimes, so you put this on the inside of the door, and it acts like a little bumper to keep the door open.
Let the
good idea.
Just because we're talking Maytag.
Yeah, sure.
But I love this Christmas. I finally got to spend some time with my family. Nobody had COVID.
Good.
We were all in one room. Everybody was vaccinated. Everyone was okay. And my brother actually broke the family into 2 parts. His in-laws, which usually, they were going to be on Boxing Day, and then the rest of us, on Christmas Day. So it was only about 18 of us, but it was just nice to be surrounded again.
Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How were your holidays, David?
They were pretty steady, calm, and that was all okay. Kept things small, and ate way too much, but that's because I made way too much. Thanksgiving, I actually did 2 turkeys. I did one in the smoker and I roasted one in the oven. And I'm telling you, the smoked one was one hands down.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. I don't think I'll do another turkey other than for maybe having it for leftovers and being able to stuff it. The rest of the time, I'm going to spatchcock it and put it in the smoker.
Okay.
It's so much more flavorful. It was so much more juicy.
Yep.
Yeah, that one, there was no leftovers. That one got destroyed. They loved it. So, but a nice surprise entertainment wise, because somehow my daughter and I were able to keep secret some concert tickets that I had her pick up. She and I had gone once to an outdoor concert to see REO Speedwagon, Styx, and one of the guys that was in the Eagles. I'm drawing a blank now.
Walsh, Don Henley.
Wasn't Joe Walsh. There was another guy. He played the double guitar.
Glenn Fry.
Not Glenn Fry. Though I wish
Henley.
it was.
Henley's the drummer.
Yeah, Henley's the drummer.
Those are the only 3 I can think of.
That'll come to me. But anyway, so we saw him outdoors down by Detroit at an outdoor amphitheater. And then the following March, she and I, her fiance at the time, and then her brother, my son, Tyler, went to an arena concert to see the same show, basically. And it was awesome. We got floor seating, about the 19th or 20th row right in there. And it was awesome. Well, REO Speedwagon and Styx is coming around again on May 31st, which is just after Tyler's birthday. So they're going to be with Loverboy. I'm like, oh, this is going to be just classic 80s. So I sent the link to my daughter, Caitlin. She just loves Kevin Cronin from REO. And I said, we got to go. I said, but listen, the ticket sales open up at 10 a.m. on Monday. I know I'm going to be working in one of the prisons. I can't get to the internet. She says, oh, I got this. Don't worry about it. So get us good seats again. She says, oh, we're getting good seats. I'm like, oh, boy. No lie. She got us VIP 3rd row stage center.
Oh, my gosh. Oh,
she says,
man.
She says, I don't think we've got meet and greet, but we got all kinds of swag. We get T-shirts, all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
So, actually she sends me the picture of the ticket. I'm like, oh, my God. These things are like $450 a piece. I'm like, Caitlin. So I'm going to say to some Mike, she says, whatever you want. She says, this was my choice. I'm like, God, I'm glad you got a good job. So, but so we're doing that. But just before that, I actually bought all the kids, bought us all tickets for a Red Wings game at the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. So we're going there. It's a Saturday matinee game in March. So we're all going to head down for that, which I had just been my first game at Little Caesars Arena a few weeks ago when the Red Wings played the Boston Bruins. And with a friend of mine, he's a big Boston Bruins fan. He got us really good seats. We were lower bowl, like probably about 20th row, maybe. What a great place, though. They do these arenas. I had been to the United Center in Chicago. First time I'd been to one of the new barns, and it's just a huge party in there. They got, separate concourses, mezzanines. They got, bands playing and guys walking around with party balls on their back selling beer. I mean, it's just great. Well, Little Caesars in Detroit is kitty corner from Comerica Park, where the Tigers play, and Ford Field, where the Lions play, and it's now what they call the district in Detroit. So they've got Fox Theater for all their shows, and there's another Fillmore Theaters down there. Of course, now all 3 major sports, and the Pistons play at Little Caesars as well. And inside Little Caesars is the actual arena part, and outside of that, it's fully surrounded by separate concourses and mezzanines filled with bars, restaurants, shops, all kinds of different things. And it's a neat experience. It's a lot of fun. So I had been actually to probably over 100 Red Wings games at Joe Louis Arena, which is now totally demolished. It's gone. then I had been to a few other games at other arenas. So luckily I got my kids into it. They enjoy it. They're excited to go. And so already in the first few months of 2022, as long as everything doesn't shut down completely again, it should be pretty fun. I just got to try to balance work with it right now. Work's been insanely busy. And last week, all week, I was in Chicago with certification training on product category that I hadn't been certified on yet. So it's been 50 hours a week. Already, I've stopped doing that. It's been over 6 months of 50 plus hours a week, and I've got a meeting. They call it a wrap, kind of like a monthly, every 2-month review with my boss coming up this week. And I'm sure he's going to say, wow, you really dropped off in your hours. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm surprised you noticed, but yeah, I'm done killing myself for a while, because it's just been nuts, to leave in the dark, get home in the dark, and then have no time other than to, fix a meal and do laundry and then go to bed again. I'm done with that. It's crazy. They got to hire more people. Of course, and that's impossible to do as well. There's just still not anybody going back to work.
Yeah.
Luckily, I saved some time to watch sumo, and finally had Did you watch the day 15, Mark?
I haven't watched day 15 yet, so please don't give me any spoilers
Okay.
on who won the boss show.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good one. You're gonna like it.
Slowly but surely, I'm converting everyone into Tacoma into becoming sumo fans. Everyone in my drawing groups are watching sumo now. All my neighbors are watching sumo.
They probably wondered what all that screaming was at your house.
Now, Dave, when you were talking, you said unless everybody shuts everything down with COVID again, do you think that's a possibility where you are?
I think not, but I won't totally rule it out, because our neighbors to the north, Canada, they still have like limited or almost no fans at any of their hockey games. They've even restricted some of their travel for their teams to the States. So some of the venues in the States are either mandating vaccination for entry. They haven't done that in Michigan yet, but I wouldn't put it past them. I don't know. I think this Omicron has to wind down and see what's next, if anything, for any type of variant that's going to come around. I know there's going to be more. I think this is going to be an every year thing for us.
Yeah.
But
it's a new flu, which is what people say it feels like when they get it now.
Yeah. It does.
Did you get it?
I haven't, how I've not gotten it, I don't know, because I end up in hospitals, and especially the prisons and that, where they've been on outbreak status, shut down, and I'm everywhere every day, all day long, and all the PPE and everything, I still mask. I'm vaccinated. I'm not boosted yet. That will be soon. But I've got one friend of mine. He's double vaxxed and boosted. He's got it for the second time. A couple more friends weren't vaccinated and they got it. They're over it now. 2 weeks ago, 2 of my teammates both had it. One vaxxed, one unvaxxed, and the unvaxxed one probably had a lesser severe case of it than the one that was fully vaccinated. So
anybody hospitalized?
Nobody hospitalized, luckily. And I wonder, it's probably the vaccinated that got lucky. Maybe having some underlying conditions that maybe the vaccination kept them out of the hospital.
I bet. I'm sure.
Barb,
have we already talked about that?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, what? No, COVID?
Said, oh, yeah.
Barb, you had COVID?
We had COVID. Martin and I had COVID in November. And we don't know how we got it. We tend to be very careful. We have a reputation amongst our family and our friends.
Yeah, no doubt.
Really careful. And we've traveled back and forth to the US a lot, but we're always careful. In states where they don't mask, we walk around everywhere with a mask on and people look at us like we're lunatics, you know, all that. Anyway, we must have gotten it someplace here in the UK. And we think it might have been a dinner that we were at that was like a celebratory dinner for a friend, which we don't go to dinners like that very often, but it was like a 30, 40 person dinner at a hotel. And Martin and I talked to different people like during cocktails before dinner, and he got sick before I did. So we think that he spoke to somebody during drinks who I didn't speak to. He got sick and then I got sick. But anyway, we host a big Thanksgiving meal here. We usually have 22, 26, 27 people. And in the UK, we have tests. They're given out by the NHS for free, the rapid tests, stick swab in your nose, drip, drip, and you find out your result. And people are encouraged to test regularly. So here, if we're going to get together with a group of friends, we're like, okay, everybody test, and we're sending pictures of our negative tests to everybody. So we all know when we get together, we're negative. So it was that Friday morning. Everybody was going to start arriving on the Friday night. And Martin hadn't felt well earlier in the week, but he tested for COVID on Wednesday and it was negative. So he thought, oh, it was just, he'd been out doing lots of exertion outside in the cold, sweaty, hot, cold, and he thought he just got sick. He was negative on Wednesday. So then Friday morning we get up and we're starting to do our COVID tests. And I took a picture of mine, sent it to a friend and said, yay, we're all clear. And then put it on the counter and walked away. And Tate came down and put his next to mine and looked at mine and said, Mom, and ran to the other side of the room because there was a really faint line. So I said a not very nice word. and then went and found Martin and said, I'm positive. You've got to be positive. So then he tested and he was totally positive. So we canceled we had to cancel the whole week.
Oh, no.
I cooked a couple of turkeys that I didn't really want to cook because they were already thawed in the fridge. But so we were probably really ill for about 2 days, 3 days. And we were both similar, but slightly different symptoms. Martin was a lot more feverish than I was. I was really achy. Like, you know how you're achy when you have the flu, but just achy, and that lasted longer. But the time where I just felt like I couldn't move and I just sat on the sofa all day was like 2 days. I still can't smell anything. I can taste, but I can't smell. Unless it's a really, really strong scent. But yeah, so we got it and we're super careful. And thank goodness we're vaccinated, I believe, because I know it's different for everybody. But one of the things they're saying in the UK is that a high percentage of the people who are being hospitalized now are unvaccinated.
Right. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, you can be vaccinated and still be hospitalized.
Still get it, yeah.
Sure. And we can still get it. But I think we're protecting ourselves a little bit, those who have to care for us, etc. So yeah, that's our COVID story.
Oh, wow.
So I think it's just a matter of time. We're all gonna get it.
Yeah.
My next door neighbor, he was an anti-vaxxer for a long time, but he had to go get vaccinated. Otherwise he'd lose his job because it was something for the state. He gets both of his vaccinations and he still caught COVID and he died. So that was a bit of a shock. Yeah, I knew the guy for over 30 years. So.
Oh my goodness.
And we didn't go to his memorial because his wife is saying, okay, attending is mask optional. And I'm kind of going, what are you, your husband just died of COVID and you're saying mask optional at the memorial? It just blows my mind. But yeah, we're just
Wow.
in Washington State. There, I don't know if this is in other states, but we're getting COVID tests in the mail. If you ask
Right.
for them, you get sent too, right?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, we can get them overseas as well as U.S. citizens. They'll mail them to us here,
Oh,
which
right.
is nice.
So I was talking to my mom on Friday, and she said she was feeling a little fluish. And so I mentioned that to my other siblings because we're all on this group text chat, mainly talking about them. My brother went over, delivered chicken soup, had them run their tests, and it turned out that my mom has COVID. My dad doesn't yet. He's 93, so all he did was just move downstairs. But my brother went home then to test him and his wife has COVID.
Wow.
And we're thinking she probably got it because she's been going in about every other week to like a gym to do some exercising. And they've been taking precautions there, but there had been an outbreak some weeks ago. So she might have caught, after all this thing of trying to keep them isolated and not getting it.
Wow.
So hard.
Yeah,
Now, how reliable those home tests are antigen tests, right?
The
I
ones that
don't
we
know.
have in the UK are antigen tests.
I think that's the only kind of rapid test you can get is antigen. But how reliable are they? Or reliable or accurate? I forget which one.
I think what I've heard and read, I don't know the statistics, but they're fairly accurate. There's some numbers about the percentage of time where you can get a false negative.
Yeah, false positive and false negative. Yeah.
False negative.
Yeah.
It's minor. I mean, it can happen, but it's minor. But in our experience, we've been doing them quite regularly. Like today, Martin's been out at a soccer match, professional soccer match. So he'll be home later. And tomorrow we're going to see his mother. So we'll both test tomorrow morning. Sure. And in our experience, they've been pretty accurate for us. And when I tested and was positive, I knew I wasn't quite right, but I figured, Martin has a cold. I've got Martin's cold. It's not a big deal, a little bit of a sore throat. And it was definitely positive. So, so I guess they could be not 100% accurate, but in the absence of anything else. It's good even if it was a false positive, at least it gives you pause and you don't walk out the door that day or something.
Right.
How long so it hits you for a few days. How long before it runs through your system? And do you take another test, or do you just say, okay, I wait 10 days and then I'm free? Or what's the routine?
The guideline in the UK is that you have to isolate for 10 days since your first day of symptoms. So like if you had symptoms on day 1 and you tested on day 2, you have to isolate for 9 more days, for example. And that's the protocol here. And I think they've just recently reduced that to 7, maybe even 5. And I think that's because they've determined that you're less contagious or you're not contagious anymore 5 days after you've had symptoms. Yeah, and then they don't encourage us to test anymore. But we did before we went out, during the 10 days, there was no point testing because we were stuck at home anyway. So, but that's the protocol here.
Yeah. Cause, the son of friends of ours, neighbors of ours, was positive. He's a freshman in high school. And so he was isolated at home. The whole family was on lockdown for, I want to say 10 days, maybe a week. And then when they were able to come off of isolation, they went to the clinic to get tested. And our clinic they're sorely understaffed and totally not prepared for the wave that's hit our base. It's a very small clinic. It used to be a hospital, but it's reduced to a clinic. And so the amount of positive I'm thinking it's the Omicron variant, as it rolled through, really put them on their heels, where they had to open up drive-through testing, which they hadn't done before. They had been doing scheduled testing, but it was just slow and laborious and very, very difficult for them to see the numbers that they needed to see. But anyway, so this kid of friends of ours was going to go get tested at the end of his isolation period. And when they went to the clinic, they said, "Is he vaccinated?" They go, "Yeah." And how long's it been? Been 10 days or something, 7 or 10 days, whichever the period was. "Oh, he's okay. He's not contagious anymore." And so they didn't test him. Presumably he can go back to school, but the policy had been for the schools that they needed to get a letter from the clinic saying that they're clear to return, which we don't know what's happened. So it's a bit of a mess over here, but.
My brother-in-law in the US within the last couple of weeks tested positive for COVID. I think he hadn't been feeling very well, so he went to get a test and it took ages to get the result. And he's the guy who will sit at a dinner table with me and Martin, who are like, "Oh my God, you have to wear a mask, you have to be tested, you have to do everything." He'll sit there and say, "Oh my God, the only reason I got the vaccine was so I don't have to wear a mask anymore. And now there's a mask mandate." So he's that guy. And he got COVID. So my sister sent me a message and I wrote back to her. I said, "Finally." But then I said, "No, I don't really mean that. I hope he's okay." But his protocol, and they live in just outside Charlotte. The protocol there was he was tested. It took ages to get his results back. His office wouldn't let him go back to work until he had a negative result or it had been 5 days since his positive result, but he hadn't had the test result. And I think in the end, he finally got the result back, knew he'd been positive 5 days before, but it had been 5 days. So he was allowed to go back to work without getting a negative test.
Okay. Yeah, I think they figured out that after a certain amount of time has passed from your positive or from your symptoms, that you're no longer contagious if you've been vaccinated. So I don't know how they figure it out, but
yeah, I don't know either. But we've been boosted. I got boosted on like the 28th day after my positive COVID test, because you have to wait 28 days after the positive test to get a vaccine, or that's the protocol here. So I signed up. I was there for that booster. I'm like, if I'm going to get this thing again, I need all the protection.
Yeah, because we got
our boosters.
Because we did, February is our initial, March, followed by March 2nd, and then 6 months after March was that September. Yeah, I think right after we started back to school, we got boosted. So got all 3. Hopefully it's keeping me safe. So
yeah.
But I was a little bit relaxed when the kids weren't in school. I was walking through the school with other teachers, no masks. And I was like, okay, maybe I should have a mask, because most of my other colleagues were still walking around with their masks. But when we're in our rooms by ourselves, definitely no mask. But yeah, it was.
But it is hard when you've got plans, sort of things that you want to do, or flights you want to get on, see your kids.
Yeah, I know, I'm not happy with not being able to be in school with the kids, but it is what it is, and we'll just have to make do. But it's with the kids, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, definitely a mask on. And you too, kids, because I got a couple of nose breathers. They want to always have their nostrils showing. But much better with the kids there than to not have them there. And I'm sure their parents agree. Get out of my house.
I have a question for you guys in regards to your experience in Japan during New Year's, because my experience blew me away. I just couldn't believe the Christmas came and went. It was almost like a nothing event, but New Year's amongst my families, it's absolutely huge.
The mochi, the mochi.
The mochi, But this happened to me, but I don't think it happened to anyone else, because I wrote it was in my I'd go to a family's house and I'd go through this little ceremony of these 3 little lacquer dishes about yay, yay, and yay.
Oh yeah, you were getting plied with alcohol, right?
Yeah.
No,
and I had to take 3 sips of sake off of each one, and I just couldn't get out of it.
Yeah.
As much as I wanted to, no, you got it. No. This time they weren't taking no. So I was feeling warm and fuzzy the entire week. But And I'm like, that never happened to any of you guys?
No.
No booze. No way.
And whenever I went to a party, people were constantly trying to get me to drink. And I was always turning them down. That didn't
Maybe they
happen.
thought you were an adult.
You saw me. I didn't look like
I
an
know.
adult.
You know, I remember the mochi and everything, because I ate mochi every chance I could, but I remember New Year's being a big deal. Now,
Yeah.
I don't recall any type of, sake flights or anything like that,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Maybe there was, and I just got hammered, and now I don't remember. I don't know. Sounds fun to me.
I remember booze. I remember the money gift. I got the envelope with
Oh yeah.
yen in it. So
Yep.
I gave
that and mochi cake. That's what I remember.
every time I got an envelope, I would give it to my father to put in his pocket, because at first I didn't even know what they were. I didn't know that they were full of money. They just had that nice, wonderful, ceremonial.
Right. The pretty
not on
envelopes,
this
pretty
card.
wrappers.
And I love the New Year's food, the pre-prepared stuff that was usually served cold with a hot soup.
Yeah, I remember that. Like a bento?
Yeah, it's sort of like a really large buffet style bento.
Yeah, I remember big trays of all kinds of, like you would have like with a potluck where it'd be just a bunch of finger foods and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw that post that you wrote, Mark, I thought, oh, I should go dig out my diary and see what I wrote in there for New Year's, but I haven't. I'll have to go have a look at it and see what
I'm
I can
just
find.
happy that somebody else was keeping a diary.
Yeah.
I didn't
much
write
of a
very
writer.
consistently, and most of it is just drivel of a 16-year-old.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, who at 15 and 16 are thinking, I'm gonna make a record so I can read this the future generations.
Well, my teachers had me do it so that they could read it. They wanted me to write an entry so that
nice.
And then they were encouraging me, okay, now we want you to write it in Japanese. And so my entries became shorter and shorter and shorter. Because
your host nation, the Japanese teachers wanted you to keep a diary.
Right.
Oh, I thought you meant for back home, like as a record of what you. Okay.
No, it was the Japanese teachers. So that's why I was keeping at it fairly consistent. I hadn't kept a diary before then.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, a lot of it, when you aren't writing for other people, is nothing but adolescent spleen venting and hardly suitable for reading.
Yeah.
So when I was there, I wrote letters to my parents, but we also sent cassette tapes back and forth.
Same.
Did I tell you this before?
Yeah.
We sent cassette tapes back and forth, and I have them, but I haven't listened to them.
Oh man, you should. That'd be awesome.
I've got them. They're a hoot. They're an absolute hoot.
No doubt.
I sent cassette tapes too, but no one saved them. But they did report back about that. I sent a one on Christmas about saying what order the gifts should be opened up with. And in this one, I said, okay, Scott, will you open up your gift? So he did, and it was chocolate. And I said, okay, Brenda, take a bite. And I knew she would be sitting right next to him. So she leaned over and immediately took a bite out of his candy bar. It was like I was there. But I wish I had those cassette tapes because I'm so glad you guys have them.
Yeah. I think I just wrote letters.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have me and my friend Norm used to exchange letters all the time, and we told each other, they were spleen venting letters. And I said, hey, burn all mine that I send you, because I burned all of his in this big pile. And then years later, 10 years after I get home and I'm in college, and his mom calls me up and says, oh, Mark, I got some letters here of yours. Really? I says, yeah, you want them? Sure, I'll come over and pick them up, because she was cleaning out the house because, get rid of the stuff out of the kids' room. And it was all the letters I'd sent him. So I was able to get a hold of those. That was kind of nice. But
Yeah, I've got one letter from Art, and it's all written in Japanese kanji. I can read certain parts of it.
I used to have it going on. I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it totally confused me with all that. And I know we must have been messing with each other because I kept a copy of something I sent you, and it was nothing but a bunch of digs. I think I sent you a middle finger that I copied on a copier somewhere, a photocopy of my watch and something else. So you must have burned me on something, and I was trying to get you back.
Didn't sound like me.
No, not at all.
Sugar and sunshine. Come on.
Yeah, you probably wrote it while I was sitting in Brother Pat's office. That's what it was.
Yeah.
so part of the reason I'm trying to refresh my Japanese is my part of my Japanese journals are in Japanese, and I'm trying to at least get back up to the level where I could read them. So maybe I could figure out, because I didn't keep a transcript below of what it was in English. It just
yeah. Why write it twice? That's a lot of work. I wrote it once. I'm good. Come on.
Now that I'm learning my Japanese and I can get to that point, I've been trying to look around to find those loose leaf. It's like a loose leaf journal, and I can't find it, and it's driving me nuts. So I'm hoping it'll turn up.
Oh, question for you. Why is this live? Why are we live on YouTube, and who's watching us? Do we have any views?
I'm recording this in case Kim or Eric or those people want to watch.
Oh, it's a recording. Okay.
Yeah, it's just recording. That's why.
Okay. No worries.
We don't have any viewers, do we?
I don't know. I can't
Yeah,
tell.
it would be really funny if we went viral, right?
Oh, I'd start telling stories then.
Yeah.
I'll take us worldwide at that point.
So I'm sure you guys have heard, speaking of meetings and Zooms that go viral, there was a town council someplace in the UK. I'm sure it hit headline news. You might have heard of it, but it's this town council meeting at 12 people sitting around, and it gets totally out of hand. And I don't even know what the issue is, but they get really, really irate with each other. And the woman running the meeting, a guy is telling her she doesn't have the authority and she can't do this. And they get really irate with each other, and I don't know what they're doing, swearing, whatever, but it goes absolutely viral because they're.
Oh,
I think I remember that story.
So that's what can happen if you're live on YouTube.
Well, see, but were they virtual or in person? Their meeting.
Oh, that's a good point.
I could see virtual, people just logging off, but if they were in person, that would be.
Oh, actually, it was virtual, because I think what happened is the person running the meeting who was being told she couldn't run the meeting cut the guy off.
Oh,
Oh,
that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what the name of the town council is. I could tell it to you, and I'm sure if you Googled it, you'd find it. But yeah, I don't need to be viral on YouTube.
No, I'm good.
Anyway,
just glad there wasn't this around when we were back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
I would have ended up on a plane back home. I just know it.
Because there would have been hard evidence.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With the evidence
that's out there already,
I don't need any more help.
No.
I often wonder what it's like for foreign exchange students now, because they do have instant access to people back home. They're not so cut off.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember talking to my cousin's son, who's probably 15 years younger than us, something like that. And he went to Japan as an exchange student. And he was getting ready to leave. And the summer before he was going to go, there was a family reunion. I was talking to him, obviously very excited for him that he's going, et cetera, et cetera. Well, he had a girlfriend with him at the family reunion, and if you're like 16 and you've got to bring a girlfriend to like a big family reunion and you're that connected.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I trying to give advice. You got to just live in the moment. You've got to be there. It's going to be hard. You're going to be homesick, but you have to try to enjoy and do what you're doing and not try to keep all your ties to home, because otherwise you'll never get into what you're doing.
Yeah. You won't get
But when I think about now what we all did, and, you know, I tell people the story. Yeah, I got on a plane. I went to Japan. I didn't know where I was going to be living. I didn't know the family. My parents didn't know the family. I couldn't call them. We sent a telegram. There was another guy from my town who went someplace else in Japan. So together, I think he organized a telegram that went to his parents, and his parents called my parents to let them know that we'd arrived safely.
Wow.
But I didn't talk to my parents on the phone until October.
Yeah.
And then
I think I was September, October too. Yeah.
And then when I did talk to them, it was like 5 minutes max, and it was once a month. And you say that to people now, and it like, this does not compute.
Right.
But
Yeah,
we did that.
Yeah, we got to talk to my parents at Christmas for 5 minutes. And then my parents called up when Mount St. Helens exploded to make sure that they were okay. And I got like maybe 2 minutes, and that was it. Just.
Yeah. Different world. Different world.
It is.
Back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it's nice to chat with you guys. I'm glad that I'm not always on here, but this is a pretty regular group, and it's nice to catch up with you guys.
Cool. I feel the same, Barbara. It's very nice.
It's good to see everybody.
Yeah.
And I hope, David, I hope you get to relax a little bit more and do a little bit more hunting rather than having to work so hard.
Yeah, well, I did apply for my spring turkey permit yesterday, and my one buddy that usually goes with me, we do a partner hunt, and so that almost guarantees you're going to get selected. You're going to get your licenses through. They have like a lottery because it's a limited hunt. They only have so many permits that they'll put out for the spring hunt, and so my younger brother and his friend, they put in as a partner hunt. And so I went in and did that. And then my buddy just sent me a message earlier today. He went in under my party ID and put his application in. So we're almost positive. And the good thing is that we can actually, we've done this, we did this last year. We'll go out, we'll hunt turkey in the morning, and then we'll head back to camp, pack up a cooler, and we'll head down to the river and we'll fish for steelhead and that. So, I mean, we can fish and hunt and everything, solid for a couple, 3 days. So yeah, I will not miss any of that just for work. That's for sure.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So you're taking days off, or is it weekends?
It'll be a long weekend. Yeah. Because the limited hunt is actually, there will be 2 weeks that are available, and we always put in for the first week. And we'll hunt the one weekend that kind of hits around it. Yeah.
In the middle of it. Yeah.
So we'll go up on a Friday, we'll open on that Saturday, and probably hunt to Monday, hunt and fish until Monday. So that'll work out pretty good. Of course, last week I was in Chicago. Had I had a little bit more time and wasn't wiped out from sitting in a class all day long, I had found where there was actually a Papados fairly close. And I'm sure you've probably been to Papados around the Houston area or something like that. But I didn't get there. I did get to a Cheddar's, which is obviously a much more economical chain, but I was hoping to get to Papados. I didn't get there, but I'm starting already plan for banking some purchase vacation time for next year. But God dang it, we got to get this coronavirus thing figured out, because if they don't open up Japan, I'm not going to be able to go there. I'm saving up. I'm baking up vacation time for it, and because that's going to be about a 2-week gig that we'll go. But I don't know. Time's ticking now. They got to get the country opened up. They're pretty
Are they
tight.
not,
right now.
they're not open at all to non-Japanese?
Very limited. Yep. I think they just approved student visas for some students.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah.
And are they
So-
still making it so that have they lowered the amount of people coming in have to then sequester themselves for 10 days, or did they start dropping that?
You know, I think that's up for consideration, but I don't think they've changed it at all yet.
Yeah, because half your vacation is waiting in the hotel room so you can go see the country.
Does vaccination status matter?
I don't think it does.
Wow.
I'm
I was just thinking
you know,
about
I look at
Australia.
it about every couple, 3 weeks, and it doesn't seem to change. And I don't think it did. I don't think it mattered before.
Yeah, it adds a whole new level of complication to international
does, yeah.
travel. I mean, things change day to day.
It seems like it sure does.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
That
my
adds
mom's
one
side of
more-
the family, we're having a reunion in Florida in the summer, and I'm part of the planning committee, and we were talking about, well, okay, we're getting not down to the wire, but we're got to keep making progress. We kind of lulled over the holiday, and we said we got to get it ramped back up, and we're starting to make we got to start making some definite plans about things. I'm like, well, yeah, we still have Corona, but I guess we got to plan like maybe Corona's not going to be here, but it is here, and it's just kind of tricky to do that long range planning with that.
But my impression of the US when I was there, and obviously I haven't been there since Omicron's a thing, but more than some other places, they seem to be just getting on with it. You have to go about your normal life.
yeah.
And Florida, more than many other states.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it? Because
It is, yeah.
Delta went through and we thought, oh yeah, we're going to have a normal Christmas. Everything's going to be great. And then Omicron comes.
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny how wherever it's discovered, that's the hot spot. That's where you can't come from anymore. Versus, we just found it. It's everywhere, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the US or the UK in their wisdom has not, now when you travel to the UK, you do not have to test before you get on the plane.
No.
As long as you don't have to test to travel to the UK.
You just have to be vaccinated, or what?
No.
I think you have to be vaccinated. And if you aren't, then you have to test. But like we discussed earlier, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you don't have COVID.
Yeah, because for Belgium, it's 72 hours before you have to have a negative test. But some of the people will find cheaper tickets through Amsterdam, and they'll combine the plane ticket with a train ride. And so for the Netherlands, it's 48 hours. And the husband of a colleague I work with was doing the Amsterdam train thing. But got their test at the 72-hour point for coming back into Belgium. And when he went to the airport, they said, no, you can't get on because you didn't meet the rule. You didn't meet the requirement for going into the Netherlands, and ended up having to splash out for another ticket to get him straight into Belgium. I don't know if he's going to eat the other half of that ticket he couldn't use, but yeah, the rules are always different and changing, and it's hard to.
And you just have to be so aware. My son's girlfriend he flew out here in mid-November, and she was flying out too. They were on separate flights because she was going to be here for Thanksgiving. It was not very much fun for her because Martin and I got COVID and there was no Thanksgiving. But when she flew on TAP Portugal Airlines from Newark to Lisbon and then to London. And she knew for London, she didn't need a test at that time. And then after that she did. But at that time, she didn't need a test, but she needed one for Lisbon. And even though she was transit, they required one. So she was traveling with hand luggage only. She got to the gate in Newark before somebody nabbed her and said, where's your COVID test? She's like, I don't have one. I don't need one for the UK. They're like, you do for Lisbon.
To transit. Yeah.
Because you've got to think about everything.
Because when Susan and I traveled this Christmas, Our original tickets were Brussels to Chicago to, we flew into Austin. That's because it was the cheapest tickets versus going it straight into San Antonio. But anyway, our flight got messed up for, I want to say weather. I think both ends, our flights got messed up for weather. So instead of going to Chicago, we flew into Dulles, which isn't a problem, except that Dulles isn't my favorite. But then going back, another weather system, and ended up canceling our leg to Chicago. And then Susan scrambled. Thought we were going to go through Dulles, but we ended up going through Newark, which presented a problem because for some reason at Newark, if you're leaving and flying international, even though you're checked through all the way to your destination, which was for us was for Brussels, and we cleared all our COVID stuff, we thought, at our original airport, you had to check back in for that international flight at Newark. And a lot of people who were making the Newark connection didn't know that. And so they ended up delaying their boarding by like half hour, an hour, because people had to get rechecked to get the one sticker you needed to have from United to show that you were, COVID ready to fly. It's just, it's a mess almost everywhere.
Mess, and everybody does it differently. And we flew last year. We flew back to the UK from the US on the first day that the UK really had strict measures in place, and red countries and non-red countries, and segregated when you arrived at the airport, and passenger locator form and all the rest of it. It was the very first day, our arrival day. So the check-in staff, we happened to be checking in at Dulles. The check-in staff didn't even know what to do. So Martin and I, completely self-taught, we're like training the other passengers in the line. This is what you need to do. You need to book. It's just crazy. But you just have to read the directions. I say that to my son all the time. Carter, you have to read the directions. They taught you this when you were 6. It still applies today. You have to read everything. So you know.
Oh yeah, because one of the Belgian rules says for residents, it's a 72-hour rule for flying into Belgium for COVID tests. But if you're a resident, you don't need to test, which is what we are. We have a residency card here. So luckily we didn't have to test coming back. But again, the airlines don't necessarily know this. And like on United's app where you're able to check in, I'm checking in, following all the rules, and I tell them I don't have a COVID test, but their system doesn't realize I don't need to have a COVID test because I have a residency card. And again, another layer of just confusion for not the traveler, but for the agent who's trying to check in and doesn't understand why. Well, you're American. Why don't you get a COVID test? Because you can't go if you don't have it. But,
so hard. So hard.
I'm looking at the calendar for February.
Valentine's Day. Let's meet on Valentine's Day.
That's a Monday.
Or no, President's Day.
There's. I was going to say there's the President's Day weekend, which is the 20th. So I would recommend that we do the 27th.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be on break from school.
I may not be able to join you then. We're going to be in the US for February. And we'll be in Colorado then, hopefully on a ski slope. That's the plan. So I won't take a break in the middle of the day, even as much as I would love to chat with you guys.
You're not going to go to the chalet, sit down with your 5G phone and get online with us?
Will you be hunting that weekend, or what's your plans?
No, I won't be doing any of that. That's like third weekend in April. I probably won't even get back out to that area until end of March. So yeah, I should be good all the way up through there.
Well, I know my wife was planning on doing a vacation sometimes in February, but what I'm going to do is tentatively put it on the 27th for anyone who can make it. And then I'll put out an alert if I have to shuffle that around to the next month.
Okay, cool. Otherwise, I look forward to talking to you guys in March.
Hey, I got an idea too. We might have talked about it before. What about inviting Caitlin to the next one? Caitlin Dietzen.
Oh, right. Sure.
I'm open for that.
Okay.
I
I'll
hope we
shoot her
don't
a
bore
message and see if she'd be interested in that. She probably would be.
Yeah.
As long as we don't talk about old people things. Oh, my sciatica.
Right.
We're not old.
Ah. That's right. You're as young as you feel.
Exactly.
Yes.
I certainly don't feel as old as I am, that's for sure.
Good.
I have days.
There are moments, yeah.
Yep.
Like standing up from the sitting position that I've been in for the last hour.
Right. Yeah. That'll be the first thing to get you.
That's right.
So David, you're not going to go back out and work on your car anymore? You're just going to go out and close the hood?
No, I'm going to go change my oil next, but I'm going to first let it drain. I'm going to probably let it sit for an hour and then I'll head back out. So I have time to warm back up. So I think I might
You got
save my
snow on the
brake
ground?
pads for another night. Pardon?
You got snow on the ground, right, Dave?
My what?
Got snow on the ground, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Snow, and it's snow on top of frozen ground. Yeah.
Ooh.
I started this morning. It was 18 degrees and it was actually a lot better than yesterday when it was 12 to 14 degrees and 30-mile-an-hour winds. So
Thanks.
yeah, today there's no wind, and at least so it makes it seem like it's warmer until you've got exposed skin for a couple 3 minutes. Then things start freezing up on you.
Yeah. How about
Yeah,
you guys,
it's a
Barbara?
blast.
How's your winter been?
We've been pretty mild. We haven't had any snow here. Last week was very frosty every night. We got down to, a few degrees below freezing, and that was a big deal on Thursday.
Sure.
But yeah, relatively mild for us.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, ours has been mild. No cold
Yeah.
snaps or anything.
No.
We
Yeah.
got
Global warming.
a couple feet of snow. It melted, and then lots and lots of rain on top of that. So our ground is oversaturated. Then nothing like a couple of windstorms, and then all the trees whose root systems are all loose are toppling over like crazy. We went for a walk in a park, and these trees that must have been there before the settlers, there were 4 of them down. So
Oh no.
Yeah. Soggy old winter.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just wet and mushy outside where we are, but thank God not as cold as where your guys at. I mean, that just I'm layered up because we have an old house and we got like one baseboard heater and we live off of the little tiny portable heaters in the room. So
Space heaters. Yeah.
no central heating. Maybe the next house. So, if you ever
It's your
buy a
forever
house, get one with central heating. It really makes a difference. Didn't occur to us. It was summertime when we were looking.
Wow.
Anyway, I'll see you guys all next month or maybe in March.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice to see you all. Take care.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
You too.
Everybody take care. Be good.
Bye.
Bye.